Today, we're going to be learning about the dot, and we're going to be reading a read aloud called The Dot by Peter H. Reynolds. So, I have a lesson where we're going to have a button in the middle, and we're going to be creating our own circles and dots and swirls all around it. We're going to practice thick and thin lines and teaching you how to make your mark and see where it takes you. So after we've done our lesson, what we have is a video here too of Dot Day with Peter Reynolds, and it's ready, set, draw-ish. So he goes over how he creates his different circles and dots and so forth, and we can do that in our art portfolios as well. So let's get started with creating our beautiful dot projects. For our project today, we're going to be using a 9 by 12 piece of paper, and I'm also going to be using buttons. So here you can see a whole big bin of buttons, and we're going to have one that we have in the center of our paper. Now, I have pre-done these for us, but what I would like, what I would do is I'd have you choose one, and then we would put a big glue dot and put that in the center and put it on top. But since it's done, I'm just going to show you how we would use this glue. So you would twist it until you can see the white tip go away. And that way you know it's open. So you would give it a nice squeeze, just a dot, not a lot, and then you would put your button on top. Now I'm using a lot more glue here because you want to see the button goop, kind of going through the glue going through the eyes there, or button holes, so that way you know it's going to hold it really well because it's a heavier piece. Now what I would normally have us do is just a dot, not a lot, twist, twist, twist to close it, and then wipe the top of your glue bottle. So here you can see I take a Kleenex, I wipe it off my finger. I don't need to wash my hands because I can just rub my fingers together and the glue goober, as we call it, goes away. So now what we're going to do is use our sketchbook, and we're going to get started practicing thick and thin lines. So take out a marker. Beginning in our sketchbook, open up to our last page that we started using. So we did oil pastels this last time. What we're going to do underneath of this is we're going to write the words thin, and then we'll write the next word, thick. So take your time, use whatever marker, crayon, color pencil that you have, and I want you to write these words, thin, divide it up, and then write thick. If you have a moment, you can even underline it or do a little wave, whatever type of line to underline it that way. After you've done this, the next thing you're going to do is take out a marker. Now you might have a thin or thick marker. Either way, they both do the same thing. On a big thick marker like this, what you want to do is draw your line thin by holding it vertical. And thick, you want to kind of angle it on the side. So you can see here that it looks very thick. Another way is to kind of put it on its side, hold your finger on top, and draw that way. Again, thin lines are just the point, as you see. What I do is I usually just slide my hand as a way where you just put your dot at the top and slide your hand down. Or another way is to just move only your fingers. Start at the top, move your fingers down, and that way you'll get lines. So practice doing these different thin and thick lines. See how it works best for you. Now, I'm a lefty in these videos, but you, if you're a right hand, do the same thing I'm doing, but using your right hand, as you can see. So it's a little difficult for me, but it can be done. Once you're done practicing these thin and thick lines, what I want you to do next is close your art sketchbooks, and you're going to put them away. The next thing that we're going to do is take out our project. So I'll be passing these out to you. Your button should be nice and dry, and what you're going to use is a marker, and we're going to draw a circle around the shape. No matter what shape of button you have, try your best to make a nice thick line. So we just practice thin and thick. And a way that I like to do this is rotate my paper. So I keep turning it around. It does not need to be a perfect circle, but what I want you to do is practice rotating that paper, which means turning it. So make a nice thick line, turn your paper, thick, turn your paper, thick again, until you get it all the way filled. Do your best on creating them, but leave a gap or space between these. So you'll notice I have white showing, and we're going to do that for a reason. So continue making these circles until there's no more space to make the circles, but keep them nice and close to each other, but not too close. In your project, you're going to be coming to a point where your circle doesn't really fit anymore. And so, what you're going to do is continue pretending you're making the circle, but you're just going to stop wherever you come to the end of your paper. So, I'm going to keep going around. I'll turn my paper and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm just going to keep going, but instead, I'm not going to go on my desk. So you can see I'm creating the same circle as if it's coming off the paper, but I'm just continuing on. So keep doing that where you're going to fill your whole paper as best as you can. You can even go along the edge if you need. The one color I find that doesn't really work as well with this technique is the yellow, but it does combine nicely with other colors. So because I have yellow and blue next to each other, when I mix it with some water, I might make some green. So go all the way to the edge of your paper. For our next part in our lesson, we're going to be using a cup of water and our brush. What I want you to learn is how we use our cup and our paintbrush. What you do is you're going to wipe on the inside. So after your brush is wet, you wipe on the inside and then I rotate and wipe again. So you can see I'm just showing you a couple times of doing that. So we're not tapping or anything, we're just rotating. So just wipe your brush along the inside of your cup. And then you can see none of the water is spilling anywhere. So because we don't want the water to be touching our glue, because it can wake up the dry glue, let's start on the outside. So I'm just going to wake up my marker and turn it into paint, as you can see here. And then I'm just going to wipe and rinse off my brush before I move on to another color. Don't worry if it wakes up the blues or any of the other colors. The goal is that you rinse your brush from time to time in order to not have all the colors be mixed. Instead, have a pure color, pure hue, as they call it. So take this time to work around slowly, rinse your brush between the colors, wake it up, and work your way inwards. Once you're done, place your project on the dry rack, rinse out your cup, and put your brush and cup back where it needs to go. Double check that your name and teacher code are on it, and we'll take a picture for Artsonia.